do not care where you come from. I remember when the late Abiola ran against Tofa. You know, Abiola was a southerner. Tofa, I believe he's still alive. He's a northerner from Kano. But Abiola won. He defeated Tofa even in his ward in Kano. You know, I don't know, and I've not had the opportunity to ask the self-styled evil genius, General Ibrahim Babangida, why he said he was forced to annul the election. But from all we can see, Nigerians love traveling. They love staying wherever they find good businesses to do. And they intermingle, they intermarry, and look for progress all over the land. But the politicians try to replicate and perpetuate what the British did, which was to divide and rule. If the people in government feel threatened whenever people come together, you know, as one, you know, then we are not likely to have peace, because they would instigate the people. They would look at the NSAS, when the NSAS protests came on. There were allegations of vehicles, government vehicles, you know, conveying touts to disrupt the peaceful gatherings, to give the peaceful gatherings a bad name. So for me, if I'm to blame the Nigerian people at all, it is to blame them for their docility, to blame them for being so sheepish, you know, to being so cowardly. They push you here, you go. In fact, they push you to the wall, you break the wall and run away. You know, we should be able to have some backbone, you know, to speak out and to come together and act as one. That even as the leaders are smart enough, you see them pretending to be quarreling, but when it is time to share, you know, they are all in the same party, they are all saying the same thing. But you discover that the Nigerian people are so foolish, they are lining up behind these people who deceive them, that they should be divided, that it is in division that we make progress. If you look at the history of Nigeria, for example, most of the leaders have come from the north, but paradoxically, the majority of the dirt poor are also from the north. So can we say that because the leaders come from your own region, that automatically your leader will favor that region? That has not been our experience. So we must begin to see the system that we have operated has not delivered any positive thing to the poor people in Nigeria. It has only delivered for the people who are in government, the rich people and their friends and their children, you know, but generality of Nigerians are still groping in the dark, looking for what to do and where to go to.
Commander, are you there? Commander, can you hear me? Okay, I think he may be having some network challenges. Remember that you can join this program simply by raising up your digital hand, and I will try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Let's see if our guest is back. Okay. I think he's having some major network issues. Okay,
Yeah,
can you hear
I'm
us
back.
now? All right. So you were saying something. Please go ahead.
Okay, I didn't even know that had gone off. I don't know from where I should continue, but the long and short of what I said is, you don't blame the people. You know, the leaders should take responsibility. The buck stops at the table of the leadership. You know, it is not the people. Wi-Fi. Okay.
Sam, can you hear us now? Hello, Sam. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Okay, I think he's having some network issues again, and hopefully we will get him back. Remember, you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand. And I'll try as much as possible to accommodate as much questions as I can. And submissions, questions, comments, anything is welcome. Remember that we are talking about Nigeria at 61, solving the insecurity challenges in the country. Hello, sir. Are you back? Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Okay, I think he's muted. Mm. Hello, sir. While we are still waiting for him, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand. I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. We are talking about Nigeria at 61, solving the insecurity challenges in the country. And our guest was just trying to react to the question: is the government solely to blame for the insecurity problems? Remember that our guest is the retired Lieutenant Commander John Danjuma. He is a former intelligence officer of the Nigerian Navy and a security professional and consultant. And he was trying to talk to us. I'm telling us that yes, he believes that the government is in fact responsible and should take responsibility. But right now he's on a break due to network issues. Let's see if he's back. Sir, are you here?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. You were reacting to the question: is the government solely to blame for the insecurity problems in Nigeria?
You want me to answer that question again?
No, I said you were reacting. You didn't conclude before the network interrupted.
Okay. Yes. Which American president is it? I've forgotten the exact one that started keeping on his table. The buck stops here. You know, it is really irresponsible for leadership to pass the blame of the present situation of things in Nigeria, you know, on the people. It is the head that should take the lead. You know, it is the head also that takes the glory when things are working. So, as I said before, the Nigerian people can only be blamed because they are able to stomach a lot of, permit me to use the word, nonsense, you know, because it is not sensible, for example, to be a nation that is blessed with crude oil and then be importing refined products. And the amount that you use in importing the refined products and the subsidies therefrom are more than how much you could have used, you know, in building refineries to provide employment for your people. That is just one single example. Another example is, what use is it? All the money that is made for every 100 naira that we sell crude oil from, 70 of such of 100 naira goes into the salaries, allowances, perks and perquisites of the people in government. Who runs his own business like that? Who is it that will not put more in the capital expenditure than the recurrent expenditure? So even from the basic things, looking at it generally, you cannot blame the people. It is the leadership that should take 90%, if not more, of the blame of why things are in such a desperate and destructive situation in Nigeria.
Okay, now talking about responsibility, following the escalation of insecurity threats and pressure from both citizens and pressure groups, the past security chiefs were replaced, but yet we see that the threats still persist What else can the government do to combat this problem? Hello, sir. Did you get my question?
I didn't get the last part. You can
Okay,
repeat.
I said that the past security chiefs have been replaced, talking about accountability and responsibility of the government.
Yes.
But the problem still persists. What else can the government do to combat this problem? Hello, sir. Did you get
Yes.
me?
Just give me a.
Okay, while we are waiting for our guests to respond, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising
Yes.
up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Hello, sir. You can just let me
Okay.
know when you're ready, and we'll continue.
Yeah. I'm sure you can hear me clearly now.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I've changed to another network. I hope this will be more stable. Now, the question is a very good one, which is that how come when you change the leadership, the leaders of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, the security situation didn't just come to an end? It is simply because banditry, terrorism, crime and criminality, are fought differently. We use the army, for example, to fight terrorism. It has its own disadvantage. For example, they say if you use the army to do police work, then you are likely to turn the people to become the enemy, because the police is there to protect you, while the army is there to kill your enemy. So by bringing in the army, you are not going to get information, which is the key, in fighting crime and criminality and even terrorism, because the army is not trained, to move peacefully among the public. And even the last chief of army staff, not the one that died, he said something like that it would take 20 years before terrorism would be solved or could be solved, for the simple reason that the hearts and minds of the local people is with the terrorists. So the issue wasn't just the leadership. The issue of leadership was there, because even personally, I've met some soldiers who said that they were at the point of completely routing and defeating, the enemy. But suddenly they were told to cease fire. There was no way I could prove whether that story was true or not, but for the very fact that that kind of stories, such stories were rife, proved that there could be no fire without smoke, or is it no smoke without fire? So the hearts of the people need to be won, and how are the terrorists, for example, able to enter into the communities? They do that by either threats, or they come in peace. When they come, they try to look at the needs of the people, and then try to supply and meet their basic needs to gain their hearts and their loyalty, so that these people will be giving them information about what government, is doing, and where the government agencies or forces are. Also, they use threat, and they actually kill people who they think are betrayers, in the communities, to throw fear into the people so that they gain their loyalty by force. So there are so many issues about terrorism, for example, that simple removal of the head of Army, Navy, and Air Force and changing them wouldn't solve. And in the era of banditry, for example, how many people do we have in the armed forces, in the military and paramilitary forces? We have, I dare not mention the number, but I don't think they are up to 1 million. Now look at the ungoverned spaces, and I would like to call them ungovernable spaces, not ungoverned, because the space, the Nigerian land space is so large, and the government agencies, and people, protecting, that are supposed to be protecting the people, are so few. So with the large spaces that are ungovernable and ungoverned, you have people who have guns, who are now in control of different parts of Nigeria. How do you solve that? We have said that any system that fails to prevent bad people from carrying guns to kill good people must not prevent good people from carrying guns to protect themselves. There is a lot of emotions, when you are beginning to discuss such issues. People will begin to say, do you want Nigeria to become a lawless state? How can we allow everybody to carry guns? And my answer to that is simple. In the United States, for example, my bosom friend, about my age, traveled from Gainesville in Florida. He drove himself. Florida to Louisiana is about 5 hours, 6 hours. He drove with his wife alongside him, and he had no fear of anything happening to him, and he got there safely. Today, I dare anyone to drive alone, from north to south or from east to west, or even from Lagos, to Ibadan, if there will be no trepidation in his heart, or if there will be no fear. So if people hold guns, and we are saying communities, responsible people in communities should hold guns, should be armed to protect themselves. If not, you'll continue to have armed marauders. These people who would, in their 50s or 100s, they will climb their motorcycles and they will attack villages, unprotected villages at will. Recently, less than 2 weeks ago, was it last week, 40 people entered into a village in southern Kaduna and slaughtered anyone they saw, children, women, But are you telling me that if these people were protected, even criminals look for soft targets, if these people had been protected, there would have been some resistance, And how come throughout all the time it took to attack, there was no single response, from the government agencies? So since the spaces are so wide, and since government agencies cannot protect people, it is even going to help us by way of employment generation, because the people who will train them to handle these guns, are already trained and they are already retired. Some retired people like me, I've had them mention that it's a very veritable, avenue for them to get engaged, to use, their knowledge and skills in providing protection to the people. So it is actually an emotional argument to say that it will throw Nigeria into becoming a lawless state by allowing communities to defend themselves. No, even criminals are afraid. When criminals know that communities are well armed and well protected, they would think twice before going. In America today, whether you are a single person or a group of people, the day you go out to take away lives, it is very certain you are not going back to your home that day. It is either you are translated to the great beyond or you end up in police net. But in Nigeria today, it is free for all. They just keep on, it's a rampage. They just going around the country killing people. So we need to really specifically address issues. When criminals are identified, for example, when one Asian country, Middle East country, gave us a list of those who are funding terrorism, and they actually prosecuted such people in their land. In Nigeria today, we are still waiting, for Mr. President or the members of the National Assembly or the judiciary to hasten it, because it is when crime and criminality is not punished immediately that people's hearts are strengthened, they are hardened to continue to commit evil. Now in Nigeria, crime and criminality is not punished. How many, we remember Evans, the highly, his story was highly popularized. He became so popular in Nigeria, or do I say notorious, up till now, he has not been punished. We have past senior members of the military that are alleged to have kept monies that should have been used in fighting terrorism or criminality. They use the money they spent the money among their political friends in running an election, which eventually failed anyway. But up till tomorrow, such people have not been punished. So in Nigeria, we need to speedily, punish those who have gone against, the peace and progress of Nigeria, if we really want to make progress as a nation. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry. From what you were saying, it seems you support state policing and self-defense by the citizens. Is that correct?
Wonderful. It's just common sense.
Okay, so you believe that states should be
go and bring
someone,
for example, from yes.
I'm sorry, I was saying okay. All right, now remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, in your opinion, is the insecurity challenge simply a failure of leadership, or can you see there's an innate problem that we have not yet addressed?
Well, take power supply, for example. Incidentally, I happened to be in the US when the Boston bombers, the two brothers, they saw some people, on a marathon race, and they decided they had gone online to see how to manufacture bombs. And what did they do? They manufactured the bombs and placed the bombs, which immediately killed people. And my friend then in the US told me that, look, such people will be caught. And they were caught. How? By simple use of CCTV. Now, we have had in the recent past monies in millions that were voted and spent for the installation of CCTV systems in parts of Nigeria, I think Abuja and Lagos. How come up till today, we don't have the CCTV coverage? And because we don't have them, crime cannot be fought in such places. And why have we kept quiet about it? Why have they not been punished, those who have failed to do that? And now, would you now say that it is the fault of the Nigerian people that we don't have CCTV, for example, in fighting? And even if we had had a CCTV, do you know that you need to have constant power supply? It is only in Nigeria that you will hear that, oh, Nigeria has the largest economy in the whole of Africa. And paradoxically, Nigeria too has, in fact, the highest number of poor people, over 100 million, in the world. The other day, when Mr. President said he was going to, or he had lifted 10 million people out of poverty, not long afterwards, we had the World Bank, or is it IMF, saying that in the recent past, 7 million Nigerians have been thrown into poverty. So we need some transparency here. We need some element of truth. Once the people fail to agree or to respect the views of those in government, then you are beginning to have problems, because they will suspect, everything you say. So transparency is important. If you, for example, bring out all the papers for the CCTV cameras, how many were we supposed to have? Where were they supposed to be installed? And how were they supposed to be run? And why are they not there? Who is supposed to pay for it? If you make it plain, then you are now discouraging criminality. You are now encouraging people to do the right thing, but you have not done it. So I'm not in a position to blame the Nigerian people. As I said before, I blame them mostly for being so cowardly, so docile, so easy to rule, so easy to divide and rule.
Okay, but now that obviously carrying gun around like you suggested or you said before is not a possibility, how can citizens protect themselves against threats to their lives and their livelihood?
Well, you cannot, I can answer that in many ways. First of all, there is a law which is higher than the Constitution, and that is the natural law. You came into this world with some rights that government cannot confer on you. One of these rights is you have the right to life, and you have the right to be happy. You have the right to express your opinion. You know, government, no constitution can either give you or take it away from you. So, but the Americans have gone ahead to even state it clearly, you know, that the right of a people to protect themselves must not be taken away from them. But in the Nigerian law, the right of the people has been taken away from them, and they cannot protect themselves. And the same organ, which is government, that has taken away such rights, cannot protect the people. So for me, it is important for us, if we truly have people in government that represent us, they should go back to their constituencies, they should discuss with them, you know, what kinds of laws, you know, people are expecting their representatives to make in order to further protect them. And that is one of the reasons we always say that the ownership, gun ownership, the fact that we say communities should own guns does not mean that you throw it open. Any kind of person will just handle a gun. No. For example, people who have criminal records, people of questionable character, you know, there are some people that must not, you know, carry guns, must not be trusted to carry guns. So it is still going to be based on law. It's even going to be based on a permission. Not that you now say, okay, everybody, you go to the store and start selling guns. And I want to tell you that we do so many things that are wrong. You know, we have people, you now see people manufacturing guns. They call them DIN guns, local guns. But is it not from there that you will now build up the capacity of your people? Recently, I heard that some armed men or government forces, government agency went into the creeks and were destroying local refineries. I say to myself, these are people whose skills you should use, you know. So why are you destroying the refineries? We need, such are the people that if you are a good leader, you see the tendency of people, you convert their criminality, you know, into something positive. You don't just go and destroy it. You are now wasting resources, you know. So for me, I believe that we need a link. Government is too far away from the people. They don't discuss with the people. You know, you should have leaders who, you know, particularly our representatives, they should do more to come to the people. When they go on recess, you know, in my lifetime, I've never seen in Nigeria any senator or member of the House of Reps, or even councillors, local government councillors, chairmen of local governments, coming to the people, you know, interacting with them, telling them or asking them what their needs really are. I have not seen even one. So we really need to see that government is the servant of the people. Government is not the boss. You know, we see our leaders, they carry themselves, you know, like emperors. The British Prime Minister, for example, doesn't have a single aircraft, you know, designated to his office. But in Nigeria, you have more than a dozen aircraft, a third world country that is going around borrowing money, you know. So the wastage, you know, even in governance, is enough to turn the hearts of people against government. Because you see, the ostentatious living, you see the glaring difference, the opulence, and it's from that same till, from that same treasury, that you are saying there is no money, that they see you flying all around the world, they see the way you dress, they see how your family is shining, and they see that your family is not in no way better than them. They also work hard. So we need a government that cares about the people, that is conscious of the needs of the people and is willing to serve the people. They say if government fears the people, there will be peace. But if people fear the government, there will be oppression. And unfortunately, the latter is what obtains in Nigeria.
Okay, will you say that this is a problem of the current administration, or is a problem we've been facing as a nation since independence?
Yeah, if you remember, there was a statement I made. I said the divide and rule that the British method that the British used, is perpetuated today, is being carried over and carried on by our people in government who feel threatened whenever they see the Nigerian people are throwing away their differences by way of regions. The greatest threat, to bad leadership, is intellectual capacity to decipher, how trickish they are, their divide and rule tactics, how to make people believe that, oh, there are more things that divide them, that actually bind them together. And actually our humanity, is so all-encompassing, so all-inclusive, that Nigerians, they are very smart people. I believe that if we have a leader around which all Nigerians will rally around, the pace of development will be phenomenal, will be explosive. Unfortunately, our leaders don't even realize that it is in their own interest, to bind the people together, to make them see themselves as one. So yes, leadership has served to. Do you think? Yeah, leadership has served to divide people? Do you think that if we had, if Nigerians came together as one, if they could do away with all these ethnic differences, regional differences, religious differences, this is not the kind of leadership we are going to get. We are going to have a new set of leaders. If you look at the localities, in various localities, when it comes to development, people rally around a different set of people from the kind of people they rally around when it is time for elections. Why is it so? It is so because even the Constitution itself makes it difficult for people to come together. If in a nation like Nigeria, you say that you have to form a political party, and that political party has to be approved by the government. And these are the provisions of the political party. You must have a federal character. You must have office in Abuja. You must do this. That is not how political parties should evolve. I have said it before that Nigeria is in such a confused state that ideas are now compartmentalized. Political parties should flow from ideas. People of like minds should come together, and they should form close associations, based on which they will now make the society better. But now when you say that they must have North and South, they must have this and that, it will end up bringing up only people who have money, not ideas. I dare you, if Barack Obama had been a Nigerian, there is no way he would have emerged as a president or even chairman of a local government with all his oratorical skills, with all his ability to bring people together to vote for him. So the system itself makes it impossible for people who have wonderful ideas, to have any influence in the Nigerian setup. So we need to open up the political system. For example, if you want to run as an independent candidate, what stops you? Why must you belong to a political party? Not that it's a good example anyway, but Museveni in Uganda, I don't know whether it's still on like that. He has run that political system, without political parties. And if you check the American system too, by the time the American system, which has endured longer than any other system on earth today, by the time it was developed, it wasn't necessarily made to run on political parties. In fact, the George Washington, the general, the first president of the United States running this constitution, was against political parties because, like as he thought, and rightly too, political parties could hijack, all the processes. And today, the development of political parties is more important, to politicians than even the development of Nigeria. So what are we saying? We are saying that we should ask ourselves, how does a political system grow? Does it grow because of the number of cycle of elections that you pass through, or does it grow because of the larger number of people who are able to make decisions? So a democratic system grows only when people are able to make decisions that affect them, when they are included in the decisions that affect them. Decisions are not forced down their throats. And it even goes to show that our constitution, for example, which is a big lie, said that Nigerians decided to come together. If we are going to make progress, we have to have an agreement. And if we have an agreement, that means that a Yoruba man, for example, will not care whether a Hausa man is leading him, and vice versa. And it will bring, that is one of the things that will bring down the cost of governance. Because I don't know of any country in the world today where you have representatives in both the legislative arm and in the executive arm. Why should we say a nation, a third world nation, for example, like Nigeria, United States that is so rich, they only have 2 senators from each state. In Nigeria, you have 3. Apart from that, you say that every state must present at least one, a minister. You must have a minister. So if the problem in Nigeria, for example, is the cost of governance, how can you have so many people? You are increasing number of people and you are increasing number of government agencies, and you now want to cut down the cost of governance. So the whole country is completely muddled up. We need a new set of leaders who truly have the vision of one Nigeria, who care about people, who know what they are doing. And politics is local. How should it grow? We should grow from the localities. As I was saying, if it is time for developmental purposes, you always have people who are able to rally the people together, bring the people together, and to collect money from these people, to account for this money, and to use the money in developing the place. But when it comes to joining political parties, such people are cast aside, and a different set of predators, now comes into power. This set of predators is the one now that will encourage thuggery. You see their thugs when it's time for election, acting as if there is no law. And then after elections, you see them standing on the road, belonging to an organization or the other, collecting money. So if you really want to change the nation, you need to change the face of our representatives. And to change the face of the representatives, you need to open up the system to allow people who truly care about the people to become politicians or to make decisions, But if you continue with this system where you have to join political parties, and once very senior academician was saying that our political parties resemble more of the Russian communist, political parties than the Western democracies. So Nigeria is truly one of the most badly run enterprises in the history of mankind. And that's why people are so miserable. I can see Rampam Jr. raising his hand.
Yeah, it's Rampam. Exactly. So let's just allow him to speak. Rampam Jr., please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much to our guests. I really appreciate the honesty and the conviction you are speaking. In fact, I'm enlightened on some issues I have hitherto very little on. I have two short questions, sir. We in most parts of Nigeria have lived in peace with herdsmen for many years. But from 2011, there was a spike in killing by herds. This current administration had come out on public and national media and said that those Fulani killer herdsmen were not Nigerians. Almost immediately, the same government sealed our borders, then said Fulani the world over to come into Nigeria without visas. Today, our president, General Muhammadu Buhari, is a grant of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, which is a Fulani association. In your own view, sir, has the government not been able to declare killer herdsmen as terrorists? And the second short question, sir. You are a military man with years of experience. Do you believe, in all honesty, that today recruitment into the Nigerian military is distributed following the federal character as provided in 14, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? So there are just two questions, sir. Why have Fulani herdsmen declared as terrorists? And is recruitment into the military following the federal character? Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, I want to thank you, Rampam Jr., for your kind words. I actually remember there was a time I stayed in Rampam Street in Jos many years ago. So, and I know that you belong to the royal family there. So I honestly find it difficult, not because I'm afraid to speak, but it would, if one was to make an honest assessment of Mr. President, one would think, and one would say that Mr. President seems to put his ethnic nationality above his Nigerianness, and I wonder why we should be so surprised, because looking back, there was a debate, presidential debate that they had, and he was saying, he promised that if he got into power, he would open the grazing routes. I don't think that message sank very well, but it would appear that even from the words of, was it Senator Shehu Sani, who first noticed, he said that acts of corruption, if they were performed, carried out by people close to Mr. President, the odorant would be used in fighting it. But if it came to people from the other side, they would use insecticide. And it was even alleged, I can't remember him clearly saying it, but the then APC chairman, former governor of Edo State, also said that if you want to have your sins forgiven, you come and join APC. So it would appear that the fight, against terrorism or against criminality by herdsmen has been tacitly, just by the signals that you send as a leader, it would either encourage or discourage acts of criminality. So it would seem, that they have been handled with kid gloves. And I remember even before he came into power, and there was a time people were being suggested that a group was to be formed, to go and meet and conciliate, to reconcile with the criminals, his name was mentioned. And it's also very clear that he has been one of the patrons of the Mieti. I have even seen him, many years before, maybe 20 years ago. He came to the Southwest to speak for his people, the cattle rearers. And he has not been able to extricate himself, to lift himself up, as the president of the whole Nigerian people. So it is very difficult, to defend him, in that bid and say, yes, he has been fair. I can confidently tell you that, in my view, in my opinion, he has not treated the people equally. The high-handedness, for example, that he has treated other self-determination groups, has not reflected in the way he's treating his own people. One can say that, and say that with a clear conscience. And yes, and then recruitment into the armed forces. Yes, you see, I believe that this is also one area where you have your representatives, have a say. Every right-thinking member of the House of Representatives or Senate, if you are in the Senate and if you are a representative of the people and you do not care when such recruitments are made, either into the NDA or into the other arms of the armed forces, then I don't think you are a wise legislator. So the person that should check any excesses or any anomaly, not only even into the armed forces, but even into the paramilitary forces, like NDLEA, like even the customs, the police, the legislators should have oversight. They should care about it, so that if there is any tendency to discriminate or to favor one side over the other, there will be a room. It can be prevented, and that's the only way I feel we can legally and constitutionally prevent such lopsidedness, if it exists. But having been there, I can tell you that when we started, for example, some people from some parts of this country, I don't need to mention, they were so lazy. Once they collected their allowances, then they would go to town, and some of them tried coming back, but there was no way back. So it also depends on the kind of people who, some people are not naturally or don't like, to pass through that kind of discipline or hardship. So if it is like that, then we can't do anything about it, because they have already used their own slots. But to say that at the recruitment level, some people are not taking, or some are refused, then I think it's a law against, it is against a law, which is a federal character. But let me say something. There's a book I'm reading now, which is written by Thomas Howell. I think in the US, in the Nigeria, we call it federal character or quota system. In the US, they call it, how do they call it? Let me see what I can remember. They call it something action. Who can remind me now? Yes, I'll remember before the day runs out. So actually, he went on to show that in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Australia, in Canada, any affirmative action, yeah, they call it affirmative action in the US. And they started by now trying to favor the blacks who they feel were disadvantaged. And then they brought in the Hispanics, then they brought in the Asians, and he is trying to say that that kind of system actually doesn't pay at the end of the day, because it's supposed to be temporary, to balance out perceived injustices against a certain group of people. But at the end of the day, it becomes entrenched. Look at what we are doing today. For example, we are saying that Nigeria, power should shift to the south. And they were saying that Governor Akeredolu used the word must. And that was why the northern governors too came together, So you can see that if we insist that we must have people from our own area or from our own tribe or religion to rule us, then what we are going to have is division. Because from north to south, we are now going into 6 geopolitical zones. And from 6 geopolitical zones, we are likely to we continue to divide, to divide the country, and at the end of the day, this is what will lead to disintegration. That is why it is important for us to agree. First of all, do we want a nation? A nation means that you are not recognized based on your tribe or your culture or your class or your gender. You are recognized based on your performance. And that's why America is such a wonderful country today. My friend, we grew up in the then Benue Plateau State. I left for Lagos. He left for New Orleans. His children are bona fide Americans. But my children, they have to now, each time they want to go for anything, you have to go to the liaison office and get them that they belong, that they don't even belong to Lagos State, where they were born. So Nigerians, we need to work on our indigenous settler issue. A Nigerian anywhere should be a Nigerian everywhere. We must do away with all these primitive, ways of looking at things, and begin to see that if we put Nigeria first, then the best in people will come out. If you have a sense of belonging, if you are taken to be a son of the soil, you can give your best there with no fear that tomorrow somebody will now come and kick you out. So, and you need leaders who truly are Nigerians at heart, not parochial leaders, not leaders who see the things from the priest, from the narrow, from the tunnel vision of their being, or of what they have been told or taught. So that's it. The recruitment into the armed forces is very important. That is one area that I believe that we must have representatives from all parts of the state. All states must be represented in the military, for the simple reason that it is when you have your people there that, yes, power, I believe, flows from the barrel of the gun. I hope that answers part of your question, Rampam.
Mr. Rampam, I see your hand is still up. Do you have anything to say again, or that was the previous hand? I'm asking so that I'll know whether to close, because we are out of time.
Yes. Yes, someone is just reminding me that, yes, it's affirmative action. Affirmative action.
Okay. Just before
that is why they call
their federal character in the US, right?
Yes, they call it affirmative action.
All right, just before we let you go, is there any other thing you want to say? Because we are almost out of time.
Yes, I want to thank you for the opportunity of talking to our people. I just want to say that there is hope yet ahead. We may be 61 years, and as we look back, the picture looks gloomy. But, I believe that what has happened in the past should be a lesson, should be, we should see in the areas we have failed to make progress. We should make corrections and adjustments so that the future we hand over to our children and grandchildren will be better than the past, or the ones handed out to us, by our own parents. So I believe in Nigeria. I believe that Nigerians are highly skilled, highly talented, highly blessed people. And we can only make progress if we see ourselves as one. They say one can chase 1,000. If one can chase 1,000, two can chase 10,000. So there should be cooperation.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
And that's as much as we can take on today's exclusive interview. We have been discussing under the theme Nigeria at 61, solving the insecurity challenges in Nigeria, in the country. Special thanks to our guest. He is the former intelligence officer of the Nigerian Navy. He is also a security professional and consultant, retired Lieutenant Commander John Danjuma.